Hi, welcome to Innovate Training. My name is Carol Peugeot, and this is Miss Carol's Refresher Course. And we are currently in our medical billing section of this course, Lesson 3. So let's kind of do a review of the last two lessons that we did. Lesson 1, what did we talk about? We talked about EOBs, explanation of benefits, or they're also called remittance advice, RAs. And then lesson 2, we went over some terminology and some concepts that I want to make sure we have an understanding of before we get into these deeper topics. So we went over some terminology, some concepts, and just a little bit of a refresher. Those of you who have been in medical billing courses, or if you haven't been, then it's good terminology to know. Today, what are we going to do today? Well, today we're going to go over the CMS-1500 form, and this is the CMS-1500 form, and I will include one of these in the comment section below, and so that you can download it and print it and work along with me.
Video description below.
In the video description below, as well as the case study we're going to do today. That will also be in the video description below. The case study is going to be for Andy Webb, that's our patient, and you'll be able to print that up, and you'll have everything you need to be able to complete this claim form. So, when I see you again, we will be at the medical billing table, and we will get ready to do our claim form. Okay, so here we are at the desk ready to work on our case study. So I have here our patient's record for Andy Webb, and on this record has his demographic information, his address, his birth date, where he works. It has his insurance information here, any secondary information, which this person does not have a secondary, and then his progress notes. These are notes on what happened during the encounter. The second page includes his provider information. This is the entity and the doctor who provided the care, and their address and their tax ID number, as well as their NPI number. And then we have our procedures, our diagnosis, and the codes. And then we also have some questions for you to answer. Well, we'll get to those later. Okay, here's the CMS-1500 form. If you notice, it is printed in red. The reason why it's red is that when the insurance company receives this claim form, they scan it. And when they scan it, they have a software that captures only what is black, the ink. Everything red drops out. Kind of like those pictures we used to get in the Cracker Jacks, where it has like a little red screen. You put it over a picture and you get a different picture. Anyway, everything red drops out because it doesn't need all this, because it already knows what goes in what section. Okay? So, make sure you're only using claim forms that are original, not printed or not photocopied. Original claim forms. Now this is if I'm doing a paper claim. Remember we talked about the difference between paper and electronic claim. Now the thing is, if it's an electronic claim, the format's still going to be the same. It's just I would not be printing this on paper and putting it in an envelope and sending it. But today we're going to work on a paper claim. Okay? As if we were sending this to the insurance company by mail. So the very first thing I want you to notice is this little symbol right here. This little symbol is a QR code, And what this does is it indicates to the insurance carrier or to the software the orientation of the document. So when the scanner is, it tells this part is up and this part is there. So anyway, if you are doing anything, stapling anything, make sure that no staples go around in this area. If you have to send something with the claim form, then make sure that you send the claim form, get the claim form, that is on top. The document you have to send with it is underneath, and then you staple in the center very close to the edge as possible. Okay? If you had to do that. It's important that you don't staple in this area or this area. Okay. So first thing we're going to look at is this little area right here, this little blank area. This area is the place where we're going to put the name and the address of the insurance carrier to whom we are sending the claim to. The reason why is that when we fold this a certain way, it fits in an envelope with a window, and that address shows through the window. Okay? So you would never handwrite a claim, but we're doing it just to learn the claim form. That's why I'm handwriting these. These would be typed or they would be generated on the computer and then printed up on your printer. So you see me handwriting these. Of course, we would not handwrite the claims. A handwritten claim cannot be processed. All right. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to put in the name and the address of the insurance carrier. So let's look here on the patient's record. Primary insurance company. We see Associate Healthcare Workers Plan. So that's the name of the insurance carrier. So that's what we're going to write. Primary Healthcare Workers Plan. I abbreviated there. The address, P.O. Box 15531, and that's in Woodland Hills. California 90016. Okay, so that is the name and address of the insurance carrier to whom we are sending the claims to. Okay. The very next thing we're going to look at, we're going to go down this claim form field by field. They're numbered 1 through 33. We're going to start at 1 and we're going to go the way through. Today we'll probably only get through halfway through the claim form, and that's okay. So the very first thing, people have asked me about this, and I might even get questions on here. What are these little boxes here? They say PICA, P-I-C-A. Those people in this generation probably have no idea what that means. The only one who would probably know what this means is a typist. Somebody who used to use a typewriter. Back in the old days, there were two fonts, PICA and what was the other one? I forget the other one. Anyway, what this is if you are in one of those situations where you have to type a claim form. I've had students in that situation, and I used to have to type claim forms, but that was olden days. But let's say you did, and you need to be able to make sure that your claim form is aligned. So what this does is it helps you. You would put this into the typewriter, line it up, and then type 3 X's or 3 letters or whatever into these 3 boxes, and that tells you, is it aligned correctly? You have 2 chances. So you'll never use it unless you use a typewriter, but people have asked me, so I got to tell you what it is. That's what those are for. Yeah. Okay, so box 1, form locator 1. This right here is one of the most important ones. If you don't fill this out, they'll reject the claim right away. They want to know the type of insurance for which you are billing. Is it Medicare? Is it Medicaid? In California, we call that what? Medi-Cal. TRICARE, that's the military. CHAPVA, again, military veterans. Group health plan, that's what you get through an employer. FICA, which is federal employees. And then other. Also black lung, which I'll explain later when we get to Medicare. So, one of these has to apply. So what we have here is primary insurance company is Associate Healthcare Workers Plan. And how I'm going to know what type of insurance this is, I know it's not Medicare and I know it's not Medicaid. I know it's not TRICARE and I know it's not CHAPVA. It's a private insurance carrier, but is it individual insurance or is it a group plan? That's what I need to know. Well, if you go down here and you look, and there is a group number. The group number indicates this is a group plan. Okay? If it didn't have a number here, then I would think it's an individual or commercial plan, and I would put other, because it doesn't have an option for individual. But since it does have group health plan, I'm going to put a capital letter X in that box. Okay? Don't do check marks, capital letter X. All right. The next thing it wants to know is the insured's ID number. That's the insured's ID number that's on their insurance card. It's also known as the policy number. Could also be called the subscriber number or member number. This one, it's called the policy number. So you write it in or type it in exactly how it's here. I always do it exactly how it's on the card. So 889 XRT 220. Okay? And then that's 1A. I'm going to go over here now to number 2. Number 2 wants to know the patient's name. Now remember, there's always a difference. We want to differentiate between the patient and the subscriber or the member or policyholder. They're not always the same. So, look over here. The patient's name is Andy Webb. Okay? So here it wants to know the patient's name. So that's what we're going to put. So whenever you're putting a name, we always put the last name first. So Webb. Do a space, no commas. Don't put any commas. Andy. And then middle initial, T. Like that. All caps, black ink. Okay? Number 3 wants to know the patient's date of birth. Date of birth, August 5th, 1983. So 08, 05. Always 4 digits for the year of birth. 1983. Even though it has a YY there. The sex, male, capital letter X. Okay, now number 4 wants to know the insured's name. That's not always the same. So let's look to see if Andy is the insured or is somebody else the insured. So let's see. Andy Webb, the Associate Healthcare Workers Plan. The subscriber here is Sherry Webb. So Andy is not the subscriber or the insured. So Sherry is. So we're going to put here Webb, no comma, Sherry, spells her name weird, S-H-A-R-I-E. I don't have a middle initial, so I'm going to leave that blank. Okay? So far we have the type of insurance, we have the ID number, we have the patient's name, the date of birth, and the subscriber or the insureds. Okay, next thing it wants is the patient's address. Right here. 707 Addison Avenue, number 45. That's in North Hollywood. I used to live on Addison in North Hollywood. Maybe that's why I put that street there, North Hollywood. These case studies are my own creation, by the way. These are not real people. These are all fictional people.
Right.
Right. Some people I've taken names and modified them a little bit. Okay, so here I have the address, the city, the state, and the zip code. Now I'm going to put in the phone number. Home phone, 818-256-8851. And again, I made up that phone number. It might be somebody's phone number. Don't call it, because I don't know whose it is. I just made it up. I just didn't want to put 555 on everyone. Okay. The next one, form locator, these are called form locators, by the way. Form locator number 5 wants to know who is this person to this person. How are they related? In this case, they are married, so she is, or he is the spouse. So he is the spouse of the insured. So I put a capital letter X in spouse. If it is the same person, we would put self. If it is the child, we put child. If it's the second cousin twice removed, we'd put other. Okay? Now, over here, it has the insured's address. Now, this is the address of the insured. Now, they're husband and wife, and they probably have the same address, but not always. So you want to check on that. And it looks like they do, but not always. So make sure that you check that, because the subscriber or the insured might have a different address than the patient. It might be a child and they're remarried or what have you. You know, all kinds of family scenarios that we have here. So in this case, I'm going to just put the word same. And I'm just going to put it in one time. I don't have to put it under city, state, zip code, and telephone. I'm sure she has a different telephone number. So let's find her telephone number. I don't see her telephone number. So we'll just leave it as that. Okay. So we're done with this section here. Now we're going to go to 9. 9, we're going to skip. And we're going to come back to it. But we're going to skip it for now. And you'll know why when we come back. Okay? So let's go to 10. Now, when I first started this claim form, I said this area is very important. But this area is one of the first things they look at. Because what they want to know is there anyone else who has financial responsibility for this claim? They want to know that because, hey, if they don't have to pay, then that's great for them. So they want to know, is the patient's condition for the one for which you're billing for today, is it related to employment? Yes or no? So what you'll have to do is you'll have to go into the treatment notes and you'll have to see tightness of chest, smoker, cut down, family history, asthma. No, it is not related to work. So I'm putting no. You got to have one or the other here. Is it related to an auto accident? Oh, by the way, if it's related to work, what do you think they're going to be asking you to do?
Workers' comp.
They're going to ask you to bill workers' comp. If it's auto accident, yes or no? It's no. But if it was yes, what do you think they're going to ask you to do? To bill
Insurance company.
the insurance company, the auto insurance. And here you would need to put the, if it was auto accident related, you would need to put the abbreviation of the state for which the accident happened, not where the insurance company or where they live, but where the accident happened. So if it happened in Arizona, we would put that state here. And then other accident, they were in Target and they got ran over by some shopping carts. Target would be liable. So yes or no? This is not an accident, this is an illness, so we're going to put no all the way down. No, no, and no. But don't ever leave this blank because they will deny the claim automatically. They want to make sure that nobody else is responsible. Okay, so that's 10. So 11, insured's group policy number. Remember we looked at that group number before? If they don't have a group, if it's not a group plan, leave that blank. So group number right here. Where are we? PIC 5561. Now here's insured's date of birth. Who's the insured? Sherry, right? So let's find Sherry's date of birth. There it is. 02/25/1988. And she is, don't always assume male or female, by the way. I don't have it here, but I'm just, she's female. Always make sure. Okay. Other claim ID, if there's another type of ID, in this case it's not. Insurance plan name. Sometimes a plan might have a particular name, like Blue Cross Prudent Buyer Plan. This one doesn't have a particular name, so we'll leave that blank. Now, this is important right here. 11D. Is there another health insurance benefit plan? So what they want to know is, does this patient have a secondary? So let's go back to our paper. Under secondary insurance, what does it say? None. So over here, I'm going to put no. Now, if I put yes, if I said yes, it says to go to box 9. Remember I told that box we're going to skip? If it said yes, if this person had a secondary, here's where we'd put the name of the person in whom the other insurance is under. So let's say Andy did have insurance of his own, and he's billing that as secondary. We'd put Andy's information here. Or if Sherry had a secondary, this is what we put here. But in this case, they don't, so we're going to leave this blank. Never put NA. You know, like we do on some forms, not applicable. Don't do that. Just leave it blank if it doesn't apply. Excuse me. Okay, that brings us to 12 and 13. 12 and 13 ask for signatures. But we are not going to be able to get signatures on every patient because we may be in a different building or even a different state than where the patient is receiving care. So, when the patient first signs up, they sign a form. On that form, it has two things. It has the release of information, 12, and it has assignment of benefits. They sign it, and that form is good for 1 year. So we need to check to make sure that form has been signed. This release of information is the patient giving us permission to release this information to the insurance carrier. The assignment of benefits is the patient giving the insurance carrier permission to mail the payment to the provider. So it's very important that these are signed. So since the patient can't sign these, what we're going to write here is signature on file. We don't worry about a date. Only time you use the date here is when this form is actually signed. In the computer system should be the date that the form was signed. If it's been over a year, hold your billing, make sure that form gets signed, and then send your billing. Signature on file. Because if you write signature on file and it's not on file, you're actually committing fraud. Okay. Well, that brings us to the halfway point of this form. Next week, we're going to continue and do the bottom portion of this form. So go ahead and download these, practice writing out this information, and I will see you next week. Okay, that was a lot of fun. Well, next week we will finish up and continue on with our claim form. We got a good start today. We got to go over the top part of the claim form and learn what goes where. So I will see you next week in Lesson 4. We will continue the CMS claim form part 2. See you next week. Bye-bye. Hi, this is Carol Peugeot, and don't forget to subscribe, to like, and to hit that bell because we got a lot of good stuff coming. All right.